If you don't know what the difference between the Ming Dynasty and the Qing Dynasty is, basically the Ming Dynasty was ruled by the native Han people. The Han people are the native people of mainland China. There is a separate ethnic group northeast of China called the Manchu people. The Manchu people managed to take over the Ming Dynasty, and the Qing Dynasty was established in 1636, so the Manchu people ruled over the native Han land from 1636 to 1912 when the Qing Dynasty fell. Now there's more to this story than just the Manchus and the Han people. In the 1600s, there was a very wealthy man who was a high-ranking government official in the Ming Dynasty government. His name was Zhao Yingcheng. However, Zhao Yingcheng was not a Chinese Gentile. Zhao Yingcheng was a Kaifeng Jew, but in the Ming government he pretended he was a Chinese, and then in private he attended the synagogue in Kaifeng, China, which was built in 1163. Now, Zhao Yingcheng, along with his brother Zhao Yingdou, both Kaifeng Jews, were extremely rich. They got rich because 1, they ran a real estate business, and 2, this is the most important one, they ran the most successful prostitution business in the Ming Dynasty. In fact, prostitution was becoming extremely common in the late Ming Dynasty because of the Zhao family of Kaifeng Jews who ran the prostitution business. They got so much money from the prostitution business that they just kept lobbying to promote prostitution as some kind of great thing. Emperor Chongzhen, the last emperor of the Ming Dynasty, ruling from 1611 to 1644. Chongzhen was a devout Taoist, and not only was Chongzhen disgusted at the degeneracy that the Zhao family was promoting through their prostitution business, but on top of that, the Kaifeng Jews in China kept trying to lobby to buy sacred Taoist temples and repurpose them for their family business. Oh yes, ancient Taoist temples honoring the Jade Emperor, the Three Pure Ones, Guan Yu. These sacred Taoist temples built by the Han people were in danger because these Zhao family Kaifeng Jews were trying to take over these temples for their own profit, and even worse, they probably wanted to turn these temples into prostitution centers. Emperor Chongzhen, being a devout Taoist, sought to remove this degeneracy. In 1642, he finally put his foot down. In 1642, he sent the Ming Dynasty army into Kaifeng, China, where the Zhao family business headquarters were, and the Ming Dynasty destroyed the Kaifeng synagogue, which was built in 1163. Ever since the beginning of the synagogue's construction, the Kaifeng Jews were telling the Han people, "You're worshipping false gods. There is only one true God, Yahweh, the Israelite God of Abraham." So the Jews should have been punished way back in the 1100s, but the Kaifeng Jews finally got what was coming to them. Emperor Chongzhen was sending a clear message to Zhao Yingcheng. If you keep promoting this prostitution in our homeland, we will fuck your shit up. After the Kaifeng synagogue was destroyed by the Ming Dynasty army in 1642, Zhao Yingcheng and his brother Zhao Yingdao were determined to get revenge on the Ming Dynasty. Being that they were wealthy businessmen, what do you think they did? The Zhao family had already paid Li Zingsheng in the 1630s to rebel against the Ming government. Keep in mind, Li Zingsheng was already a Ming Dynasty statesman himself. The Kaifeng Jews agreed to pay him if he rebelled against the Ming Dynasty and gave weapons and supplies to the Gao Yingsheng. The Gao Yingsheng was a rebel group formed in the early 1600s against the Ming Dynasty with the goal of overthrowing the Ming. The Gao Yingsheng rebel group later became part of the larger Manchu invasion against the Ming Dynasty. So because the Zhao family of wealthy Kaifeng Jews, they paid Li Zingsheng to betray the Ming state and give Ming army weapons to the rebel group Gao Yingsheng, and Gao Yingsheng was incorporated into the larger Manchu invasion against the Ming Dynasty, and the Zhao family continued to fund and supply the rebels against the Ming Dynasty. After the Jewish-funded Manchu invasion conquered the homeland of the native Han people, now the Qing dynasty was founded. Being that the Manchus were funded by the Zhao business, the Manchus were in debt to the Zhao family of Kaifeng Jews. And the Zhao family lobbied for two things once the Qing dynasty was established. The first thing, the Zhao family demanded that the Huolongjing be banned. If you don't know what the Huolongjing is, the Huolongjing was a book written in the Ming Dynasty by Jiao Yu. The book is a tutorial on how to construct firearms, how to use firearms, and how to utilize firearms in an army. First of all, Jiao Yu is a devout Taoist. Kaifeng Jews hate Taoism. So that's one reason they want to ban his book. But the more important reason is this. The Kaifeng Jews wanted to ban the Huolong Jing because they didn't want Han people reading the book, building more firearms, and thus overthrowing the Qing dynasty. Because if the Han people took back their land using the military knowledge in the Huolong Jing, the Han people would have gotten revenge on the Jews, no doubt. In the Ming dynasty, the Han Chinese were more militarily advanced than Europe. So why did it change? Well, it changed because the Huolong Jing was banned, the book that was retaining all the knowledge that the Chinese had on early firearms. Why was the Huolong Jing banned? The Manchus agreed to ban it because the Manchus were in debt to the Zhao family. The Zhao family funded the Manchu invasion, and then the Zhao family demanded that the Manchus ban the Huolong Jing. Many people wonder what happened. Ming Dynasty China was so advanced and ahead of Europe in many ways, and then when the Manchu Qing dynasty was established, suddenly China gets less advanced and becomes unimpressive technologically. The answer is the Huolong Jing was banned, and the Huolong Jing contained the essential knowledge needed to push China forward technologically. The second thing the Zhao family demanded was that the Dao Zhang be banned. And if you don't know what the Dao Zhang is, the Dao Zhang is a collection of Taoist knowledge and Taoist teachings. The Dao Zhang was the Bible of Taoism, and today most of the Dao Zhang texts are lost because, first of all, the Dao Zhang was banned in the Qing dynasty by Jews, and then Taoist texts were burned again during the Cultural Revolution, which was during Communist China. Communism is a system designed by Jews, so a Jewish system further destroyed Taoism. The only texts we have left from the Dao Zhang is found and kept at the White Cloud Temple. The White Cloud Temple is located in Beijing. This is an ancient Taoist temple built during the early Tang dynasty. There was a big statue of the Jade Emperor in the temple until Manchus started oppressing Taoists. And then in the Cultural Revolution, most ancient Jade Emperor statues were destroyed by the Communist Party. So again, the Kaifeng Jews in China hate Taoism, and when they finally had the chance, they banned the most important texts on Taoism, which was the Dao Zhang. Why did the Kaifeng Jews hate Taoism? Not only did the Jews call the Jade Emperor and the Three Pure Ones false gods, but on top of that, the Jade Emperor rituals are based on ancestor worship, reconnecting with your ancestors. If Han people reconnect with their ancestors, that is a threat to Jewish power. So the Zhao family, the Kaifeng Jews, they banned the Huolong Jing and they banned the Dao Zhang, a book containing the Ming Dynasty knowledge on firearms and a book containing knowledge and teachings of Taoism. Now, one reason the Manchus were eager to ban the Huolong Jing. The Huolong Jing had a section talking about northern barbarians. The Manchus are northeast of the Han people's homeland. The Kaifeng Jews told the Manchus that the book is referring to Manchus when it talks about northern barbarians. Thus, the Manchus thought the Huolong Jing was talking about them when it talked about northern barbarians. But here we go again, the Jews are lying. The Huolong Jing talked about northern barbarians because the Huolong Jing was going over the history of the battles between the Han people and the Mongols. The Mongols are also north of the Han people. The dynasty before the Ming dynasty was the Yuan dynasty. During the Yuan dynasty, the Mongols ruled China. The Mongols ruled over the land of the native Han people. The Han people developed firearms, which was a key reason why the Han people managed to overthrow the Mongols and take back their land. When the Ming dynasty was established, Jiao Yu began writing the Huolong Jing to document the firearms knowledge, and not only that, he was documenting the history of the battles between the Han people and the Mongols who come from the north. So northern barbarians was not even talking about Manchus. The Kaifeng Jews lied to the Manchu people that the Huolong Jing was referring to the Manchus when it said northern barbarians. Jews are always ready to lie if it benefits Jewish supremacy. So in summary, we have three separate ethnic groups: the Mongols, the Han people, and the Manchus. The Han people is the ethnic group native to mainland China. The Yuan dynasty was the dynasty of Mongol rule over China. Then the native Han people overthrew the Mongols by using early firearms technology, and they founded the Ming dynasty. Then the Jewish Zhao family funded the Manchu invasions, and the Manchus ruled China, thus establishing the Qing dynasty. Then if we skip to the Opium Wars, China couldn't defend itself from the Jewish bankers in the East India Trading Company. The Kaifeng Jews worked with the Sassoon family to further degenerate China. Go to fucking Mumbai, India. The Jews run it all there. They run all the finance and economy there. They can lobby to get it their way. Go to the Knesset Eliyahu, a synagogue in Mumbai founded in 1884.
Here's the fact of it. If there's a global order, it's certainly a Jewish one. And I know because I'm well-traveled. And let's say you go to India, right? And you ask yourself, well, where's the financial center in India, right? It's in Mumbai. That's where the Mumbai Multi-Commodity Exchange is. That's where the fucking Mumbai Stock Exchange is. And Mumbai is actually like an extremely Jewish city. And they fucking run it all there, too, just like they do in Manhattan. You go to China, and there's a fucking, like, bestseller book about how to get rich like the Jews. They have Jews in China. They're called Kaifeng. They're called Kaifeng in China. Like, you go anywhere in the world. Russia, like, all the billionaire oligarchs are fucking Jews now. Like, you go anywhere in the world, and they seem to fucking run everything. You know, like, how many, and that's what really gets me about the conflict in Gaza. You know, they're like, oh, Israel, Jews have a right to a state. How many fucking states do they need? You know, how many countries do they need to control? Why do they need that last little strip of land? Why do they need to kill everybody for that fucking strip of land when they own every fucking country in the world? You know, like something needs to be done about these people. Like, it's enough. It's enough. Like, they've taken too much. I don't care about the fucking Holocaust anymore. You know, they need to be taught a fucking lesson. Apparently they didn't learn it in 1933. They need to be shown it again.
Like the Sassoon family of rich Jewish bankers that worked with the capitalist monarch of Britain in order to run the East India Trading Company of the British Empire. In India, the banking system that ruled the East India Trading Company was largely the Sassoon family banking, which is a Jewish family that has connections to Indian Jews and even Kaifeng Jews in China. I'm going to go off on a quick tangent here. As we all know, the Opium Wars started because of China's opium addiction. That's why the books call it the Opium Wars. However, did you know that the Jewish corporate elites in the Sassoon family were the ones in China working with Kaifeng Jews to promote opium use? Because these Jewish capitalist elites were behind the opium business, and in order to get profit, they needed to fund propaganda in China that opium was somehow a good thing. Before you know it, the Sassoon family Jews working with the Kaifeng Jews got a bunch of Chinese goyim hooked on opium, and it was destroying Chinese society at the time. Taoist leaders especially were extremely pissed at the opium companies and the East India Trading Company because they saw their Chinese people being drugged up and they knew it was all just for East India Trading Company profit. So Taoists and also Buddhists began communicating with leaders in the Qing Dynasty Empire. They convinced the Qing Dynasty leaders that opium was a bad thing for their society, and they banned opium. However, the Jews from Britain that ran the opium business through the East India Trading Company didn't like that very much. Being that they were rich bankers, they lobbied in the British Empire to convince British leaders to militarily force the Qing Dynasty to allow opium use in the Qing Dynasty. This led to conflict and thus led to the First Opium War. Yes, you heard that right. If you study the opium business, it was running through the East India Trading Company, and the international banking system that the East India Trading Company used was Sassoon family banking, which is a Jewish family, and these Jews lobbied to get Britain to force China to allow Chinese people to use opium. David Sassoon was the head father of the Sassoon family during the First Opium War. David Sassoon is behind all of this lobbying to get Britain militarily involved with the Qing Dynasty. Not only did the Sassoon family lobby to promote degenerate drug use in China, but also they lobbied to force Judeo-Christianity into China. The Treaty of Tianjin in 1858 blatantly forces the Qing Dynasty to accept Christian missionaries and to construct churches in China. The propositions of this treaty toward the end of the Second Opium War was proposed by and lobbied with Jewish elite banker money coming from David Sassoon and his family of corporate monopoly East India Trading Company Jews. Jews all around the world are well connected with each other as Jews, and this is why the Jewish Sassoon family in India had connections with the Kaifeng Jews in China. When the British Empire conquered Hong Kong, the very first thing the British did was set up banks controlled by British Jews. The Sassoon family Bank of Hong Kong evolved into Hong Kong's modern banks, and Jews still run the banks, the finance, and the economy in Hong Kong today.
קוראים לי יעקב, אני מסין. קהילה קייפן, אני יהודי סיני.
I come to Israel 2 years ago for immigration. Now I'm living in Jerusalem.
שבאנו לארץ, הכי קשה זה תרבות. אני חושב אני אוהב את האווירה של הארץ. בסין יש תרבות לשאול כמה משכורת, האם יש לך דירה, בית, אוטו. אנשים אוהבים לעשות השוואה, אבל בארץ אנשים תמיד שואלים האם אתה חי בסדר, יש אוכל, יש עבודה. לא יודע למה, אבל כל זמן שאני בארץ אני מרגיש יותר רגוע. אני מרגיש יותר ליהדות, אבל עדיין סיני. יש לי עדיין הרבה מחשבות סיני.
By some chance, I find out that I have like Jewish heritage from Russia's side. Also, I did a DNA check in Canada, and they told me actually I'm more Russian than Chinese. It is not easy for all the Chinese Jews who want to immigrate to Israel again, because the Jews in China got naturalized as most other Chinese. For us, we need to do another conversion again. For me, I would say I like Jerusalem the most because of the religion or because for many reasons. David Ben-Gurion says for the uniqueness of Jerusalem that the city of Jerusalem can exist independently even without the state of Israel. However, the state of Israel cannot exist without the city of Jerusalem. I just feel here is my home.
We had lived in China more than 1,000 years, and also before we arrived China, we live around the world thousands of years, and we also think that we are Israeli, not Jews, because at that time, before missionaries, we never know the word about Jew. They call us Jew, but we call us Israeli. And so we always think that Jerusalem is our hometown. And also for me, when I was young, and every Kaifeng Jew, the descendants of Kaifeng Jew, we all instructed from cradle that we are Jew, and Jerusalem is our hometown. One day, more or less, we will go back. So for me, I am maybe a little special. For me, I like Chinese culture very much. I want to check how Chinese keep its language and culture thousands of years and so lively. And then after this, I will get it. Then I will take it back to my hometown, to Jerusalem, how to help my people, how to keep our like Torah, our language and our things. That is first for me. So I am a Chinese teacher. But other Kaifeng Jews, like my cousin, like Yago Wang, they also think just to go back. If I don't want to keep culture so much, maybe I also think we just think it's very easy. We live in China, but we just live here, and because we don't have our homeland, so we just live here. But one day when we know that we have the homeland, of course we will go back to Jerusalem. So to keep there is a very, how to say that, is a very it's very of course thing.
Obvious,
yeah.
I'd like to explain to you the most important gods in Taoism. Firstly, the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor is the emperor of the Taoist heavens. He was granted king status by Yanxi Tianzun after he defeated an evil spirit in heaven. The Jade Emperor was not always the king of the Taoist heavens. Before being ruler of heaven, he was Yanxi's assistant. Long ago, the Taoist heavens were attacked by a powerful evil spirit. No one in heaven was able to defeat this spirit, but the Jade Emperor fought the spirit and finally defeated it. All the deities in heaven were so happy and grateful to the Jade God that they wanted him to be the king of the Taoist heavens. Yanxi Tianzun, the god who created the Taoist heavens, was also very grateful and impressed by the Jade God's might. And Yanxi decided to make the Jade God the king of heaven, as thanks and a reward for defeating the evil spirit. We can call this spirit Abraham, or Jehovah, as the god of the Abrahamic religions had been the main evil force destroying traditional Taoism. The god of Abraham is the evil spirit attacking the Tao, trying to corrupt the Tao, trying to pervert and destroy the Tao. Now, who is Yanxi Tianzun? Yanxi Tianzun is one of the three gods in the sacred Taoist trinity. Taoism had a trinity 3,000 years before Christianity had a trinity, and the Taoist trinity is much more sophisticated and spiritually complex than the Christian trinity. Yanxi Tianzun created the earth and created the Taoist heavens. He was the first of the three gods in the trinity, who are all three the same god, but also not the same god. The three pure ones have the biggest influence on the Tao. Yanxi decides where to harness the Tao, where to lead the Tao. Yanxi teaches the Taoist gods below him of the Tao. Those lower gods teach even lower deities. Then on earth, Taoist priests learn the Tao not only from the gods they glorify, but they also learn the Tao from Lao Tzu, another Taoist god, but also an important prophet of Taoism, in the sense that we must study Lao Tzu's teachings to fully grasp the Tao. Yanxi was formed by the merging of pure breaths. Yanxi Tianzun was the first emperor of heaven, but later he appointed the Jade Emperor to be the king of heaven. The second manifestation of the three pure ones is Lingbao Tianzun. Very long ago, the yin and the yang were not yet separated, and there was no contrast in any of the realms as the yin and yang were not yet separated. Lingbao Tianzun was so powerful he separated the yin from the yang. This implemented contrast into the earth realm and into all the realms. This made the differences visible to all. Then the third and final manifestation of the three pure ones arrive. Dao De Tianzun brings morality into the realms. Dao De Tianzun establishes the morality of the Tao, the ethics of the Tao. We can pray to Dao De when we are failing to grasp the ethics of the Tao. He will help you. This is the Taoist trinity known as the three pure ones. They are the same God in the sense that they are all the same trinity, but they are not the same God at the same time, as their manifestations play different roles. Now, a very important god in Taoism is the Jade Emperor. He is in his kingdom right now contemplating how he can teach the Tao, how he can follow the Tao, and how he can help bring prosperity and the harmony of the Tao into the earth realm. The Jade Emperor has his kingdom in the Taoist heavens. You can spiritually visit the realm if you show allegiance to the gods and devotion to the Tao, if you show loyalty, if you give offerings, if you sacrifice, if you show total respect, if you consistently pray to them and worship them. If you do these things, it's guaranteed that your soul will be able to spiritually visit the Jade Emperor's kingdom. A palace of the biggest, tallest pagoda temples you've ever seen. Pagodas so bright it looks like the stars in the night sky from afar. Bamboo surrounding the palace. The cutest pandas live within the bamboo forest of the palace. You're loyal to the kingdom, and you are protected by the dragons that guard the palace. Dragons taking order from the Dragon King. The Dragon King taking orders from the Jade Emperor. The Terracotta Army eternally guards this palace. The palace of the benevolent Jade God. Prosperity and blessings be upon him. You walk the road of the Taoist heavens, and you get to the gate that opens to the Jade Emperor's kingdom. The kingdom's gate is patrolled by powerful Chinese guardian lions. Any invaders will be shredded and eaten by the guardian lions. The souls loyal and faithful to the Jade Emperor and his kingdom will be greeted and welcomed by the guardian lions. The Jade Emperor has a wife who is also an important Taoist god. Her name is Ma Zu. She is a sea goddess that has been worshipped by many navies and fishermen and travelers. She helps protect the fishermen and helps with guidance at sea, and can bless you with food in a survival situation. Ma Zu is not the only sea deity in religious Taoism. The Dragon King is a Taoist god of the weather and the sea. Not only does he have power over the weather and the sea, but he also has authority over dragons, and he can give dragons orders. That's why he's called the Dragon King. He is a protective deity that can help assist and protect ships, fishermen, and navy units who pray to him. The Dragon King obeys orders from the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor is always the highest authority in heaven. The dragons take orders from the Dragon King. The Dragon King takes orders from the Jade Emperor. And the Jade Emperor is guided by the three pure ones, guided by the Tao, which is an extension of the Trinity. Another important deity is Guan Yu, and he is also a historical figure who was a real military general during the three kingdoms of China. Guan Yu is a Taoist god of war, a god of the struggle, a god of battle and defeating enemies, defeating the invaders. Guan Yu's manifestation of might and power in battle is represented by his Guan Dao. The Guan Dao is a military pole-like weapon of ancient China, invented by Guan Yu. The name Guan Dao derives from the name Guan Yu. When there is a conflict, when there is someone corrupting the Tao and you need to stop them, you can pray to Guan Yu, as he is the mighty god of war and battle, and he can assist your struggle. Another god of war and winning battles is Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu was guided by the Tao to teach China how to win a war against invaders. Sun Tzu was sent down by the Jade Emperor precisely to teach China how to defend against invaders. If China today wants to successfully defend against invasion, they must study the art of war by Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu is a Taoist prophet in that he was here to teach those in the earth realm the mighty side of the Tao. There are other prophets in Taoism. One of the most important prophets is Lao Tzu. Every serious Taoist knows about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is one of the most important writings on understanding the Tao, written by Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu was sent unto earth realm by the Jade Emperor to teach the Tao. You can break it down, look at the suffix. The word Taoism literally means of the Tao. So this religion is about the gods that compose the Tao and guide the Tao. There exists English translations of the art of war and of the Tao Te Ching. If you want to grasp, follow, and learn the teachings of the Tao, you should get these books and study them. There is another important prophet in Taoism, and that is Cao Fu-Tian. He is one of the most recent prophets. He died in 1901, and he is a martyr who was actually executed for protecting the teachings of the Tao. Cao Fu-Tian was one of the highest leaders of the Boxer Rebellion. He was born and raised in Tianjin, the same place where the Treaty of Tianjin was signed in 1858. The treaty where Britain, France, and America forced China to tolerate Christian missionary activity, and forced China to tolerate the construction of churches. Cao Fu-Tian was raised around Western evangelists in Tianjin, raised around a rising number of Chinese converting to the religion of the invader. Cao grew up witnessing his culture being invaded and replaced by a foreign invader. Chinese converting to Christianity really is converting and submitting to the faith of the invader. Cao Fu-Tian was a master of Kung Fu and he was deeply religious. He had deep faith in the Taoist gods. Cao was a Chinese nationalist who had become aggressive toward Christianity. He saw Christianity as an invading force that is destroying Chinese identity and Chinese culture. He wanted to expel and execute all Christians for being traitors to China. Cao hated the Westerners, especially the British, French, and Americans that occupied, invaded, and evangelized Christianity. Cao was a spiritual leader of the Boxers. Him and all his followers believed the Boxer movement was a mission from the Taoist gods in heaven. At the end of the Boxer Rebellion in 1901, Cao was arrested in Qinghai and executed for trying to continue the war against the Western powers. Cao refused to accept China's defeat and he was arrested and decapitated. There is only one memorial still standing to remember Cao and his followers. The Memorial Hall of the Boxer Uprising in Tianjin. A memorial that is open today, all dedicated to information and history regarding the Boxer Rebellion. Cao was a man sent by the gods to protect China and to teach China the mighty side of the Tao, the patriotic side of the Tao. There is a war in the realm of the heavens between Taoist gods and the God of Abraham. That's why the Jade Emperor, Sun Tzu, and Guan Yu sent down Cao Fu-Tian to help fight.
没有什么配不配的。当然了，你过的江浪太大了，3000骑兵，只剩下7个人。你是一个伟大的刽子手。哼！别动！别动！葛罗先生，请你带着你的随员暂时退出去。 我要和这位巴夏里先生较量较量。请，请。
Cao Futian and thousands of following Chinese patriots died to protect the teachings of the Tao. They are literally martyrs. Cao Futian is a god. These are three very important Taoist prophets, Lao Tzu, Sun Tzu, and Cao Futian. There are many realms, not only the Taoist heavens and earth realm. There is Diyi. Diyi is a realm of punishment for your wrongdoings in Taoism. Those in Diyi cannot die from the torture, because when your body dies and gets destroyed, your body will be restored to the original state so that the torture can be repeated. The Jade Emperor put Yama in charge of judging the souls in the underworld. Yama decides when you've finally suffered enough for your sins in D, and then he sends your soul back out to be reincarnated. Depending on how bad your sins are, you will suffer in D longer. The severity of the torture and the length of the torture depends on how many sins you have and how bad those sins are. It's all up to what Yama decides. There are many realms, so it is not certain that Yama will decide to reincarnate your soul unto Earth realm, but it is certain that Yama will reincarnate your soul into some realm. You don't know where you will be after Di. It's up to Yama and the leaders of Di where you go. So these are some of the most important gods in Taoism. Yanxi Tianzun, Lingbao Tianzun, Dao De Tianzun of the three pure ones, the Jade Emperor, Mazu, the Dragon King, Guan Yu, and Yama. And don't forget the important Taoist prophets, Lao Tzu, Sun Tzu, and Cao Futian. Follow the teachings of the Tao.
Thank you.